Making the leap into full-time real estate investing is scary. How do you know when it's the right time to take that leap? That is what I'm talking about today with my very special guest, Mr. Tyler Hughes. But personally, you're married. I saw a note that your first business partner was your mother-in-law, right?
It was. So,
And I am extremely, I don't have the same I don't have, there is a stigma with mother-in-laws and son-in-laws, right? And
right.
I don't have that stigma, at least I don't think I do, with my mother-in-law. But to go to the step of being a business partner, not only just a business partner, but your very first business partner in real estate investing, that's quite a leap, man. So walk us through that for just a minute.
Well, it was funny because she wasn't yet my mother-in-law when we started. I've been dating my wife for a couple of years, and
Did the marriage hinge on the completion? Did you have to successfully bring her out of this business transaction before you was that the test if you could take their daughter's hand in marriage? Is that what that was?
We'll go with that. But it was an interesting story, man. I had no interest or knowledge or anything about real estate. I'm very, very close with my mother-in-law. And we have a lot of skill sets that complemented each other. Well, she had texted me one time, texted me about one of the guru classes, said,
Right,
hey,
yeah.
would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. And, drank the Kool-Aid, listened to what they were saying. And I didn't really know that real estate was going to be my life, but I was making $35,000 a year and didn't really enjoy what I was doing. So I was like, all right, this sounds pretty good.
Who
Let's
enjoy
roll.
what they're doing if they're making $35,000 for somebody
Exactly.
else, right? I don't know if
Exactly.
that's a goal that can be accomplished. But all right, so you just mentioned it. You quit your W-2 last year, a little over a year ago, but you started out investing while you had a W-2 job. What was your job, right?
So I was in sales.
Okay.
Bounced around between two companies, sold a lot of different items, but I was in a sales position, so did a lot of traveling. Was on a lot of
Been there.
a lot of
That's
sales calls. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I'm glad I did it because you got to learn how to sell. And you're selling
Yeah.
yourself in every aspect of your life. But it was.
I've started doing that with my kids, by the way, or at least my 6-year-old. He's always wanting to come up with, hey, Dad, I like this game. Can I get it? And we've got this thing where now when he earns money that we'll say, okay, well, you have this much money in your bank. Do you want to spend it on this or do you want to wait for something else? And there are times though when he will earn stuff just for like being a good, big brother and helping his sisters out and whatnot. And he'll come say, hey, can I get this because I did this thing that you guys were asking me. I was like, well, I'm not sold on it, but continue. Tell me why you think you deserve this. Right. And so
Right.
already at 6 years old, I'm trying to implant that seed in him that you've got to, and he gets so frustrated. It's so funny to see him do this. And so, the first time he came in and he just kind of laid this, I wouldn't say it was a good attempt for a 6-year-old. I was like, all right, I'm going to give it to you. But the next time he came back, he kind of took the same angle. And I was like, I'm not sold. You're going to have to go back. And so we did 3 revisions of that. And the last time, like he came in here, he was almost crying, and I was like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. Now, and he came in, he made his pitch. And I was like, the only thing, and you got to go back and do this again. You got to come back in here like a man and stand up and not be like acting like you're defeated and going to cry, and sell me on exactly what you just said. And he took a deep breath. He walked out the door, came back in, and he did it. And I was like, okay, you sold me.
That's
Let's go get the
fantastic,
game,
man.
And so
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think everybody needs, not everybody, it's not for everybody, but I for our kids, they're going to go through sales one-on-one their entire, starting at 6 years old, right, is when they're going to start. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why were you not happy with your W-2?
I mean, honestly, I just wanted to work for myself. So, I mean, the guys I worked for, I liked them. It wasn't anything that I worked for a bad company. The job was a grind, but I have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for the people that I work for. It just wasn't what I wanted for the rest of my life. Um, and
Does your mother-in-law or future mother-in-law realize that and then say, "Hey, let's go check out this real estate investing thing"? Does she?
maybe I don't know. Me and her are wired. We have very complementary skill sets, but we're
Yeah.
wired the same way. So I think she knew, I would bring a lot to the table, and she brought the construction side. Man, I mean, when I
Okay.
started this, it was pathetic. Like what little I knew about construction, man. I knew like what the difference between a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver was, but that's probably about it.
In my notes here, it says that in the beginning, while you're working a W-2 and you started dabbling in real estate a little bit, you treated your real estate business as a hobby. What does
Yeah.
that actually mean? What does that mean?
Well, and I didn't really realize this until a year ago. I thought I was a really good rehabber until I quit my W2 and my margins increased, 25, 30%. I was like, man, I really wasn't that great of a rehabber. I was traveling a lot, and I just didn't have my thumb down on the pulse. We were both guilty of that. And, we started out strong, and then as I started getting paid more and more responsibilities got thrown on me in my W2, then things in this business started to slide a little bit.
Mm.
Um, and it didn't take until once I quit my W2 and then started focusing full time on this, I really improved efficiency, set up better systems, and honestly, found better crews, better subs to work with. Um, there was
Yeah.
just a lot more. We could have been a lot more efficient, especially in year 2 and 3 of our business.
You put your notice in with your boss, who you've done nothing but speak highly of here. What did that feel like for you? If you can remember back a year and a half ago, were you ecstatic? Were you nervous? Were you having cold feet the moment that it went
Uh,
down?
yeah, it was more of that. I was not ecstatic. I was freaking out.
But you still did it.
Uh,
So
yeah, I did it. And honestly, my wife really helped encourage me that. I told her, I said, hey, I want to quit my job. And she's like, good. You need to. You're miserable. So, but it was, yeah, I was scared, man. And I wish I'd have done it years ago. And I think, uh, you know, I think I'd be in a little a better position than I am now. But you just got to get over the fear and take the leap of faith. And I wish I'd have bet on myself earlier, but
yeah,
I'm so glad I did. But there's a price to pay for freedom and be able to make your own schedule and do what you want to do. Yeah, and the big thing is in your gut when it's the right time, and in
yeah,
my
yeah,
I knew it was the right time, and just follow that.
yeah.
I think this real estate business, when you first start, uh, everyone says, well, half of it's all mindset. And when you first start, you kind of roll your eyes, but it really is. Half of this game is mindset. And, I knew in my heart at that time, it was time to move on. And I encourage everyone, if you got that feeling in your gut, follow it.
All right. So you quit your W-2 about a year ago. You said you've purchased 10 homes since then, right? Now these are
Yeah.
these flips or buy and
So there
holds or
was a little bit of mixture of both. I think we flipped 4 homes last year. The rest that we did
okay.
were buy and holds. That's the strategy moving forward. We've only made 2 purchases since 2021, but both of them have been larger multifamily deals.
Nice.
So we're getting into that. We've been primarily single family, but now this year we're starting to dabble in a little multifamily. We bought a 10 unit, a couple of
Congrats.
it was 2 months. Yeah, thanks, man. That was around 2 months ago, and then we bought a quad last week.
Very cool.
So we've got right now, with if you think about all the units, the 10 units, all of them needed just complete rehabs. So we've got 8 or 9 units right now we're rehabbing. So right now I'm just like, let's bang all this out first. We got to get our feet under us. So we're busy,
Yeah.
but definitely blessed.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, I've had some conversations with some banks, right? And about funding our deals and stuff like that. And now that I don't have the W-2 and, a lot of them turn me off the moment I tell them that, hey, I'm no longer a W-2 employee. I'm self-employed, without even looking at my books. They're like, yeah, sorry, we're going to need to see some sort of, I forget how they phrase it, but I've found a guy now that I think he and I are going to start working together. We actually have a really good deal I'm excited about. But have you found that banks are working with you differently now that you don't have a W-2 versus when you had a W-2? I mean, how does that play in at all for you?
Yes, yes. And if somebody says it doesn't, then they're either lying or they're very, very experienced. I mean, uh, it's more difficult when you don't have a W two. So here's one thing
Yeah.
I did. I added my wife to my business. She's a W two worker, so that helps me.
There you go. There you go.
So I did that, and a lot of it's just beating the doors down, man. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of banks that told me no, but I'm just going to ask everybody until I can find the right guys. And, you got to be willing to do that. And I did. And just like you did. And, now I work with them almost exclusively and I
Nice.
keep using them until they stop giving me money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I have been told no so many times, and I'm talking about people, entities that I had relationships with that were decades old, right? And most of our money's there. And I'm like, well, we're looking to do this. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have a W-2 anymore. I'm like, but you're not even looking at all this other stuff. And they're like, sorry,
Right.
man, that's our policy. And I've been told that so many other times. A lady in the mastermind sent me, everybody talks about local banks. And I'm like, local banks are more common, or are about as common as Bigfoot, right? At least in our area. There's just not a whole lot. But she said, no, go talk to this guy. So I set up, we had a meeting. We actually went and had coffee and whatnot. That morning, I almost called him and said, hey man, something's come up. And what had come up was I didn't want to be told no again in person. You know what I mean? So, but I didn't. I went ahead, I went and we had a good conversation for about an hour. And it looks like I don't know. I've got an LOI out. It's very looking forward to it. It's a 16 unit that I feel like we're gonna get, but I don't want to jinx it because it's been a while since we bought something. Anyway, yeah, knock on wood. I'm not really a superstitious guy. Are you superstitious at all? No. Make your own luck, right?
You're
Screw that
exactly
crap.
right.
In my show notes, it says that going to be a real estate entrepreneur, right? Getting in the business for yourself and just investing and getting away from the W-2, it changed your life. Matter of fact, you said it changed your life in the way that you view money, the way you view time, the way you view discipline, and the way you view relationships, which I think those four key components are, uh, if you can focus on those four, you're going to be a successful human being. But explain that in a little more detail. Like, how has becoming a real estate entrepreneur changed the relationship with your wife, right? Or how do you look at money differently now than you did, say, a year and a half ago?
Well, we'll start on the discipline part because I really think that is one of the biggest keys that separates um, good real estate investors and the newbies and the ones that never end up doing anything or fail and
Right.
give up. We all only have so much motivation. I'm a pretty motivated person. I'm sure you are as well. But there's a lot of days you wake up and you're not very motivated. And that's when discipline kicks in. That's one thing that I've always been a pretty disciplined person, but once I quit that W-2, um, it's just a part of my life. You've got to be disciplined in everything that you
Yeah.
do in this business. You may not want to send out those mailers on a Monday morning or whatever it may be. You may not want to make those cold calls. I'll still do a lot of driving for dollars. I can promise you there's days I don't want to go do that. But heck, I got that 10 unit from doing that.
Oh,
So,
really? Wow.
yeah. So there's days that you don't want to, get up and attack the day. And that's when discipline kicks in. And being in this business has taught me that. And, again, I think that's one of the biggest things that separates good real estate investors from, the ones that
Yeah.
never really do it.
Yeah.
As far as relationships goes, it's really helped my marriage from just a standpoint of just being happy every day.
I was gonna mention, because I mean, our stories are very similar. With the job I was in before, I was not very happy, and I was bringing that shit home with me. And
Yeah.
you know, my wife was like, "Who is this guy that I married? This is not the guy that I married, you know, just a year ago or so." Because there was some, we were acquired by a venture capitalist group, and
Okay.
you know, if you've ever been in that situation, the VCs basically come in and say, "All right, do more with less because we've got to make a huge return on our investment," right? And they don't really
Yeah.
care about the whole culture or anything like that. And stressful, brought it home, all this other stuff. And she was encouraging me as well. Hey, you need to go. Let's go find something else to do. You know, let's do this. So it sounds like your wife is very much the same way, and it may have been out of just her own sanity. It's like, all right,
I
Tyler is
wouldn't blame
driving
her.
me nuts with
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
what he has going on. So just the fact that when we were able to get over that hump, and it kind of sounds like this is where you're going as well, is that, you know, even though you started the marriage off on a good foot, you love each other, you respect each other, you want the best for each other. Just the stress and anxiety that goes away from all that is just how it enhances relationships is incredible, right? Especially with those people who are right next to you all the time.
It does, and you know, this business brings its own stress. You know, I'm not sitting here saying
Yeah,
that
it does.
there's no stress as a rehabber. If you're a rehabber, you know there's a lot of stress, but it's stress that
Excellent point.
it's on my terms though. It's what I
Right,
signed
right.
up for. You know, so it's those stresses that you know I don't bring home with me. It's just part of the business, and I was guilty of that, man. I brought that stuff home. That wasn't fair to her, and that aspect alone has changed our relationship.
Yeah.
Again, just wish I'd done it earlier.
Tyler, thank you so much for spending the last hour with me and us. For those listeners and viewers, if they want to reach out and connect with you, or if they're in the Chattanooga market and want to find out what's going on, what's the best place for people to connect to you?
Just reach out to me on Instagram. That'd be the best way to reach me. Or you can reach out to me on Facebook. You know, shoot me a message. We can exchange information, and
Awesome.
you know, I'm always down to talk about real estate.
Tyler, thank you very much, sir. I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you having me.
Finding amazing deals is a key component in being a full-time real estate investor. Check out this video where I teach you exactly how I find motivated sellers using PropStream.